Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Perhaps it's no mistake that the main character in those Sylvester Stallone boxing movies was named Rocky. The movies, I've lost count of how many there are now, all seem to follow the same basic theme. Rocky struggles between success and failure until, against all odds, he triumphs in the end. Interestingly, there's a story in the Bible a bit like that, and it's all about a character named Rocky too. Peter is a fascinating character in the gospel story. He's often seen as impetuous, brash, weak, vacillating, and bold in his faith. But, and this is important, I've told countless Bible study groups, if you want to find yourself in the Bible story, simply look for Peter and then put your name in place of his. What he does describes who we are and what we do. That's what we're going to look at this week. We're going to look at some of the stories of Peter and his faith so that we can better see us and our own. As we begin to dig in, however, perhaps it would be best for us to start at the beginning. Peter's name was actually Simon, and he was the son of John. Probably most of us know that Peter was a fisherman, although we might not know that he and his brother Andrew fished out of the town of Capernaum. I have been to the site of what is believed to be Peter's house there. Peter and Andrew were partners with two other brothers, James and John. There's a little confusion here, but it seems that Andrew was the first to encounter Jesus, but what is clear is that Jesus certainly encountered Peter. Peter and the others had come in from fishing when Jesus happened along the beach and called them all to leave their nets and fish for people instead. And right away, Jesus told Simon that he would be called Cephas, which is the Aramaic word for rock, and in Greek that same word is Petros, or Peter. So back to Sylvester Stallone. When Jesus met Simon, he said basically, I'm going to call you Rocky. Frederick Buechner has some interesting things for us to consider about this name. He writes, a rock isn't the prettiest thing in creation, or the fanciest, or the smartest, and if it gets rolling in the wrong direction, watch out. But there's no nonsense about a rock. And once it settles down, it's pretty much there to stay. There's not a lot you can do to change a rock or crack it or get under its skin, and barring earthquakes, you can depend on it about as much as you can depend on anything. So Jesus called him the rock, and it stuck with him the rest of his life. Peter, the rock. He could stop fishing for fish, Jesus told him. He'd been promoted. From then on, people were to be his business. Now he could start fishing for them. I think those are some pretty interesting insights into Peter's character. Not fancy or smart, no nonsense, hard to stop when he gets rolling, and when he settles, he's there to stay. In fact, that description sounds a lot like us too. I'll bet most of us don't perceive ourselves as great heroes of faith. There's nothing fancy or smart about us. Plain Jane Christians, mostly. Probably most of us are a bit no-nonsense, too, particularly when it comes to faith. We like the meat and potatoes of belief, and forget the parsley garnish like the details of realized eschatology or the nuances of Greek. And to say that once we get rolling we are hard to stop might be pretty accurate too. And that may be especially true if we are rolling in the wrong direction. We so easily chase after our own desires of things that lead us away from God, and it's hard to change once we get rolling. In fact, church professionals often say that if someone misses worship for 6 weeks, they aren't coming back. The ball is already rolling the wrong way. The good news is that sometimes we get the ball rolling the right way. And when that happens, we can be hard to stop then, too. That's a good description of Peter. That's a good description of us. And then the last thing Buechner had to say is that when a rock settles, it's there to stay. Peter's faith may have wandered from time to time, and from time to time he may have been misdirected. But when he settled on Christ, you can bet he was settled. Maybe we can hope they say that about us. So I invite you along on this journey with Peter. I suspect you will recognize the landscape. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.